And finding a solution to rising fuel prices on the minds of most end users right now. Data from the MBS shows fuel prices, as PMS petrol for September 2024 was about 1,013 naira, indicating a 64.55% increase compared to the value recorded in September 2023. That was about 626 naira. Take me back to that time. Well, likewise, comparing the average price value with the previous month, we also see about a 20% rise. Well, joining us is Dr. Gabriel Ogbechie, is a Group Managing Director, Rain Oil Limited. Joining me right here in the studio. It's great to have you, sir.
Thank you very much, Laddie. Happy to be here.
Yeah, so definitely when we see the prices, you know, the way PMS and, you know, most of these important commodities that we use daily, when we see them rise like this, and definitely they're inelastic commodities, so no matter how much they go up in price, we still demand it, you know, regardless. We still go out of our way to pay whatever we can. And some would think, you know, most of the downstream players are having all the fun right now and having all the windfall profit, but is that the true picture?
No, that's definitely not correct. I think the most important thing that has happened recently is the full deregulation of the downstream oil and gas sector. For more than 20 years, we've been clamoring that the sector should be deregulated. And thankfully, this month, we've seen federal government finally cutting the sector loose and saying, the sector is fully deregulated. Go and source your product whichever way you can source it and sell the way you can sell. But one thing we need to understand is that there are two key things that drive the price of petroleum products. One is the price of crude oil. The second one, and most importantly, is the exchange rate. The price of crude oil largely has been stable in the last couple of years, maybe swinging from $60 a barrel to no more than $80 a barrel. But the biggest elephant in the room has been the exchange rate. Of course, we've seen the massive devaluation in the value of the naira. So I think that the relatively high price of petrol we see today is driven more by the exchange rate and the impact of that exchange rate on the price of petrol.
And talking about exchange rates, you know, at this point, we remember that announcement. You know, subsidy is gone and no more management of the FX, that's naira to the dollar. And I'm wondering, paint a picture for me now. Subsidy gone, but we continue pegging the dollar, the naira, to about maybe 400 to the dollar. Would that have changed anything at this point?
Well, first I must commend Mr. President. When he came in, the will was there, the goodwill was there, and he did the right thing by saying subsidy was gone. But of course, being a government, I mean, he removed subsidy, and then we saw the price of petroleum products, you know, slide upwards. And because the price of petroleum products was sliding upwards, at some point, I think government had to intervene to kind of calm things down. And NNPC went back to fixing the price of petroleum products. But in the month of October, we saw government now saying, you know what, we're not going to allow that anymore. Go ahead, source your product, sell at whatever price you want to sell. I also don't believe that the price of, or the exchange rate has been floated. I mean, today, every day you go to the market, it's now a willing buyer, willing seller kind of a thing. I don't think, just like you said, I don't think government is interfering in what the
even though we see some interventions now and then from the CBN. But just hold that thought. We're going to join a live coverage now. That's for on DSTV. It's Alternatives to Cybercrime, Optimizing Cyber Skills for National Development at the Banquet Hall, Presidential Villa Abuja. But this continues on other platforms. And yeah, we're having a very interesting conversation here. And definitely, I'm sure what's on the mind of most end users right now is, are we going to continue like this in the short to long term? Because I won't lie to you, when I go to the pumps, I get scared every time I have to buy fuel.
It's early days. The key thing is that the regulation is here. Price of petrol is anything between 1,060 naira per liter towards the coast to maybe 1,300 as you go further up into the country. As long as the price of crude oil keeps changing, as long as the exchange rate keeps changing, the price of petroleum products will continue to change. If we see a massive drop in the price of crude oil, then we expect to see a massive drop in the price of petroleum products. If we see a massive drop or a further devaluation in the exchange rate, of course, that's going to impact the price of petroleum products. So nobody can exactly tell you what's going to happen 6 months from now, what's going to happen 1 year from now. But the most important thing is that Nigerians should be ready to pay a market-determined price of petroleum products.
Right, and hopefully at some point that market-determined price goes downward. Hopefully, because we've seen things just keep rising. In this country.
Like they say, hope is not a strategy.
Right.
Hope is not a strategy. The key thing is, what should we do? I think that this is a time when we need to drive efficiency. I think this is a time when we need to cut out what I call double handling. If you look at the country, this country, historically, Nigeria is actually wired on the ground in terms of pipelines. We have NNPC pipelines across the country. And you have pipelines, NNPC depots rather, and you have pipelines connecting all these depots. Now, if you look at the major import receptacle of NNPC, which is the Atlas Cove depot in Lagos here, Atlas Cove is connected to the Mosimi depot through pipeline. Mosimi is connected to Ibadan. Ibadan is connected to Ilorin. Mosimi is connected to Lagos Satellite Depot. If you look at the Port Harcourt refinery, you have pipeline running from Port Harcourt refinery to Aba Depot. Pipeline running from Aba Depot to Enugu Depot. Pipeline running from Enugu Depot to Makurdi Depot. The same thing with Kaduna. If you look at Kaduna refinery, you have pipeline running from Kaduna refinery. Kaduna pumps to Kano. Kaduna pumps to Guzo. Kano pumps to Maiduguri. Kaduna pumps to Jos. Jos pumps to Gombe. Gombe pumps to Yola. So the whole country is wired on the ground. We need to make these pipelines to work. We need to be able to get petroleum products from the depot that is closest to the consumer. If we are able to do that and cut out this multiple double handling or this multiple handling and this penchant of carrying trucks all the way from Lagos, all the way to Maiduguri just to deliver 45,000 liters, ramping up costs needlessly. If we are able to move these petroleum products efficiently, at least that is something that will impact the price of the petroleum product. Because, hitherto, because of what I call, the margins were just there. So those margins were not encouraging people to think in an efficient manner of delivering these products to the market. But now that the regulation is fully here, every single naira, every single kobo will count. So we need to find better, efficient ways of moving these products across the country.
And talking about, moving the products across the country, we did hear about that sad story in Jigawa with the latest tanker explosion. We've had a series of them, in the past. And it's quite sad that, the product that we need so much is also, harming people, when it comes to logistics and all that. What kind of conversation is being had in de-risking, the movement of petrol around the country?
Well, it goes back to what I just talked about. We need to, as much as possible. For me, I think it's an aberration. Nigeria is consuming 45 million liters of petrol every day. If you break that down into every single truck of 45,000 liters, that's 1,000 trucks being put on the road every day. Now, without our inland depots working, what that means is that every day, a good chunk of these 1,000 trucks are moving from the coast into the hinterland. Every single liter of petrol that is consumed in Abuja, every single liter of petrol that is consumed in Kaduna, every single liter of petrol that is consumed in country has to travel across the country just to go and deliver. It is not efficient. One good way of de-risking it is make these inland depots to work. They've been there. I've been in this industry now 32 years and counting. And I met all these depots, I met all these pipelines in the downstream. They've always been there. But today, a lot of them, if not practically all of them, they are moribund. They are there, they are idle. And the pipelines are there. So we need to reactivate them such that if you need product, if the person in Jigawa, for example, needs product, he doesn't need to go beyond the NNPC depot in Hotoro in Kano to go and get product. You don't have to move the product all the way from Lagos to Kano. If you are in Abuja and you need product, you don't need to go beyond the NNPC depot in Suleja. Go there, load your product and take it into Abuja. So that is one. So you don't have to, one, it will save our roads. Two, it will take away all these risks. I mean, it bled my heart. 140-something people just lost their life because of a tanker accident in Jigawa. And it has happened multiple times. So one sure way of de-risking it is just ensuring that our inland depots and our pipelines are put to use.
Right, and definitely we hope we don't see something like that again. And definitely we need to start using those depots and pipelines at this time to de-risk logistics and movement of PMS and other products. But let's look at another issue now, refining. That has been a major issue, right here in Nigeria. We have the Dangote refinery now, and definitely we're still hoping that we get other refineries, working in Nigeria so that somehow that could also contribute to, lower prices for this product. But talk to me about licenses now, import licenses. Do you think we should still be issuing import licenses, even though we have like the Dangote refinery?
We'll look at it from two ways. The question I will throw back at you is that in the event Dangote refinery does not produce enough petrol for the country, if Nigeria requires, say, 45 million liters of petrol in a day, and for whatever reason Dangote refinery is not able to produce that much of petrol into the country, what should we do? What should the country do? I think the right and proper thing to do is to bring in that shortfall. Lately, I saw some data on these same channels, TV, that tend to suggest that Dangote may be producing about 7 million liters of petrol a day. Make no mistake about it, Dangote the refinery is a national asset. Everybody in the country should rally around to support that asset. But at the same time, we have to look out for the energy security of the nation. If you're going to come to work, you need petrol to come to work. So Dangote has been given what I will call the right of first refusal. But for today, I mean, I still believe that the refinery is still ramping up their production. But what they are producing right now, from the data, which is, I can say, is in the public space, what they are producing right now is maybe about 7 million liters per day. So I think the right and proper thing is that the shortfall should be imported. But as they continue to ramp up production to the point where they can meet the national demand, then that conversation can be had on what should be done, especially in a market that is fully deregulated.
And what do you think can be done to help actually make sure that we don't have those shortfalls, going forward when it comes to, production in country?
Well, Dangote refinery is one. There are so many other refineries in country, but unfortunately, those refineries, none of them is producing petrol for now.
Do you think we should fix them?
No. I'm talking of the private refineries now.
Okay.
The private refineries, the Walter Smith refinery, right, the OPAC refinery in Kwale, and so many of the Edo refinery in Edo State. They are all modular refineries, and they are all producing diesel and naphtha and stuff like that. None of them is producing petrol for now. I think at some point they should be encouraged to scale, add the necessary infrastructure that we need to be able to produce petrol. The government refineries or the NNPC refineries, I believe that the Port Harcourt refinery is going to come on stream any moment from now. I definitely believe that before the end of the year, the Port Harcourt refinery will come on stream. Other private players should also be encouraged to go into refining. I believe that one of the fallouts of this deregulation, because one of the things that has hampered investment in refinery over the years is that you couldn't price your petrol appropriately because the product was subsidized. Now that hindrance has been taken out of the door, Now private money can now go into refining. So I actually see a lot of investment going into the refining space in the near to medium term.
And before I let you go, very quickly now, we're seeing divestments and approvals in most of these divestments.
Yes.
What are you seeing for the oil and gas industry in Nigeria?
I think these are very interesting times. I woke up to the great news that government has approved the ExxonMobil Seplat deal. I believe that sooner rather than later, the Shell divestment with the Renaissance Group will also come true. And I'm also happy that the Nigerian companies are making very serious advancement into the upstream sector of the Nigerian oil and gas economy. I see near to medium term, we are going to ramp up our production. I totally agree with Mr. President. Nigeria should be able to do minimum 4 million barrels of crude oil every day. We have 36 billion barrels of crude oil reserves on the ground. All we just need to do is to bring it out. And make no mistake about it, if we're able to ramp up our crude oil production, all this problem we are having about our exchange rate will be fixed. 95% of our foreign exchange we get by selling crude oil. So if we are only producing about 1.4 million barrels of crude a day, when we can easily do 2.5 to or 4 million barrels, if I share Mr. President's optimism, you can imagine the kind of effect it's going to have on our exchange rate and on our economy by extension.
And definitely we need to strengthen the Naira as much as possible now. Thank you so much, Dr. Gabriel Ogbechie, Group Managing Director, Rain Oil Limited. Thank you for
very much.
blessing us with your presence. Thank you.